Introducing Instagram teen accounts. A new way to keep your teen safer as they grow. Like making sure they always have their seatbelt on.
All right, sweetie pie, buckle up. Good job.
Or ring the bell on their bike.
Okay, kid, give it a try. Nice.
Or remember their elbow pads.
Knees too, okay? Yep. There you go.
New Instagram teen accounts. Automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome to News from the Crabby Coffee Shop with your host, Dawn McClain, from the adventures of Bradley and Dawn on My Talk 1071, Garage Logic's newsman, Mr. FYI, John Haidt, and the crabbiest guy in the coffee shop, Kenny Olson.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
Hello, John.
Hello.
Allow me to read to you.
Hi, Ross.
Oh,
Hello.
yeah, Ross.
Oh, man.
Got to include him. In North Korea, it's not enough for the government to control where you go, where you learn, where you work, what you say. They need to control you through your emotions, making you a slave to the state by destroying your individuality and your ability to react to situations based on your own experience of the world. This is from the book In Order to Live by, help me, Don.
Yeonmi Park.
Yeonmi. Thank you. Yeonmi Park. A book that all three of us have read now, due to the recommendation from you, Don. I thought it was wonderful. And John, you recently finished this book. Yep. And the timing was good because last week, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has issued a order to local authorities that bans suicide.
Okay.
After data showed numbers skyrocketing. And he's mad and upset, and now it's illegal to kill yourself in North Korea. I suppose, and you're wondering right off the bat, well, how am I going to be punished if I kill myself? What they do is they punish your family.
Right. I was just going to say that. You think, when you think in our terms, we're like, well, big deal, I'm dead.
Right.
No, your family will probably live, no matter what their status is right now, they'll be just maybe
even
in prison,
maybe
put in prison because you chose to kill yourself because you're so depressed about where you live.
Isn't it, Don, either labor camps or re-education centers? Some of them you can get out of after serving your time, but some of them you're just in there till you die.
That's right. And then if you do end up getting out, it's usually because you had to bribe guards. Like, that's always the way to get out. Yeah. And so then in order for your family to do that, they have to steal. And then if they get caught, they'll also be put in jail. Yeah. So it's a real fun time over there.
And I knew North Korea was really, really bad, but I just didn't realize the extent of it until I read her book. And I guess it first came to light a few years ago when I was reading something about who was the leader, this Jong-un, his dad, who just died.
Oh, that's ill.
If you didn't go out in public and cry and weep and slap yourself and really, really act like you're really depressed,
right?
Your neighbors would turn you in and you'd get in trouble.
Yeah, not just trouble, but they'd probably execute you for not being upset enough about his death.
For not grieving enough.
It's just, we know it's bad, but until you read this book, you just don't know how bad it is.
Here's how bad it is. I highlighted that little portion I just read to you just to kind of set the scene that they also control your thought, or they tried to. But then it's just a short section, and I found it stunning. Again, this is from the book In Order to Live. One of the biggest problems in North Korea was a fertilizer shortage. When the economy collapsed in the 90s, the Soviet Union stopped sending fertilizer to us, and our factories stopped producing it.
That's right.
Whatever was donated from other countries couldn't get to the farms because the transportation system had also broken down. This led to crop failures and made the famine worse. So here's what they did. The government came up with a campaign to fill the fertilizer gap with local and renewable sources. Now we all know what we're thinking, right? Animal waste and human waste. Every worker and school child had a quota to fill. Every member of the household had a daily assignment. So when we got up in the morning, it was war. My aunts were the most competitive. Now I'm thinking about kids when I was a kid, we all competed to get for some reason, the Campbell soup labels.
Oh, I remember
and you'd
that.
hand them in and get, I don't know, you get
a couple cents or something.
Yeah, a backpack or a pack of gum or something. Anyway, the aunts would say, remember not to poop in school. Whenever my aunt traveled away from the house and had to go somewhere else, she loudly complained that she didn't have a plastic bag with her to save it. Next time I'll remember, she would say. Thankfully, she never did this. So actually, that was probably just an excuse to not save it and carry it back home with you.
To be like, I'm so sad I don't have enough. I'm going to be punished. So you need to give me yours.
Right.
Because the kids also had to. And then anytime a dog started pooping on the street,
I was just going to bring
everybody
it up. It's war.
would run try to get, and then they're fighting over the dog poop. That was one of the most horrifying parts of this book.
If this wasn't real, it would be an awesome SNL skit. It sounds on the surface funny, fighting over it. But this really played out, and this is not funny at all.
No, not at all.
And they were barely eating, so you're not producing that much poop. Just sorry to be gross, but when you're only given like a handful of rice a day, because that's all they could afford, or maybe just go hungry completely.
Right.
You're just a little kid, and the anxiety that it would create with this
it?
author
Yeah.
and all the little children, like all day long in school, and they're so weak from hunger when they're asked mostly in school. All that's taught is, you have math and basic things like that, but you had to confess your what you did that was wrong, every day to the country and to the dear leader, and so they're asked to recite the national anthem, and they're so weak and tired that they can't remember it, and then they're just punished. I mean. That goes on and on and on. And you might think, I don't want to read something like that. But
it's a page turner. You can't not read it.
You can't stop. And you really want this girl to get out of there and survive. And, the reason why we know about all this stuff is because she wrote about it and she did make it through. But what she has to go through is just horrific. And I would also like to say that it makes you really appreciate your life here.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah. And now she is, I think she's living in the United States full time, and she's active on Twitter, and she's active in causes. What she went through before she was out of North Korea, but before she made it to South Korea, is so unbelievably disturbing. And she thought so too, but she got so used to it that it didn't seem disturbing and wrong after a while.
Yeah, well, even the thought, when you were talking about the thought stuff, even after she got to South Korea, you could tell that whole thought process about North Korea was still in her head.
Right.
And she was still reacting to how she should act if she were in North Korea. Training's a bad word, but the conditioning, maybe.
It's psychological warfare, Johnny. That's what it all is.
Amazing. Yeah,
that's what it all is.
And it took a long time, it seemed like, in the book for her to actually break away from those thought processes and everything that North Korea wanted her to believe in and think.
Yeah.
I have not read the book, but from what you guys talk about and what I've, unearthed and learned about North Korea, because it is an active interest of mine, so I'll read the book too, is to your point, the psychological warfare that I mentioned, but Kenny, sometimes these reactions that they're giving, they're not even real reactions. They're fake reactions because they're just trying to avoid getting in trouble. So sometimes when you see somebody breaking down in North Korea, they either A, are legitimately breaking down, or B, they're acting like they're breaking down to avoid any further punishment.
Right.
How sad is that?
So sad. It makes you, like I said, really appreciate.
honestly, my heart breaks. It's just such an
It breaks,
awful
but no,
situation.
just wait till you read this.
But now she's American, and boy, is she acting like one. And meaning we're not afraid to speak our minds.
Yeah.
And neither is she, and she's on social media. And she's become a champion for conservative movements.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, without going political here, is she being used again? Or does she really truly feel the way she feels? And I really don't have a problem with the way she feels and what she says on Twitter. It doesn't bother me. But I'm just wondering if she's being her own person, or and did these feelings truly and genuinely come from being part of that socialist communist country? And does she know that she might be becoming, God, for the lack of a better term, a puppet for the right? You know what I mean?
That's why I stopped reading the second book.
Because it's pretty political.
Yeah.
Do you think, before you quit, did you feel that her views were based on her childhood in North Korea?
Yeah, for sure.
They were genuine.
Yes, and she goes to college. She goes to, oh my gosh, it's a very prestigious Ivy League college. She got a scholarship.
Yeah.
And what she talks about there, I do see how the far right could use that to their advantage to, promote.
Right.
I'm talking about people that are way over there. You can't even see them because they're so far away to the right. But and she does make a claim like, I'm not being used. I don't care about politics. Okay. I literally don't care. Like, you guys think that I'm being, used or manipulated, and I'm not.
Right.
But I do see where she forms the opinions, and it did make me question some things about things that are happening. I don't want to get into it, but it did make me go, yeah, that is kind of weird, isn't it? It's like, overall, like, that we make up problems here.
Totally.
That we, that's what struck me the most, like that so many people haven't experienced real strife and hardship, that people are constantly making up ways that they think that they are victims, whenever, from her perspective, nobody is a victim here. I mean, of course, there are victims of terrible things, but like in general, there are so many things that people are making up,
and
they don't even realize it because we're so spoiled.
Yeah, and we've become so politicized in this country that you can't have your 5 minutes of fame without one side trying to grab onto you and one side trying to drag you down, no matter what it is. And it's, Jesus, I saw a story this morning on Yahoo that can tell you what cars conservatives and liberals are more prone to buy.
I saw that, yeah.
So,
for the love of God.
I know.
Oh, God, who cares? Who cares?
Right. And I love to make fun of Subaru drivers, but there's always people that break the mold. It doesn't matter, And the Toyota Prius, Prius, as we like to call it,
Prius.
To disparage it. There's even drivers of those things that break the mold, that are conservative.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Yeah, it just doesn't fit. Like, you can't judge everything. But
right.
Yeah, it's.
Anyway, we got distracted there and went off we took a right turn.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Just one more thing, if I can.
Yeah, please, John. You just finished it.
I had, I was talking, my kid saw me reading this book, and he said, oh, yeah, I heard her. It was a great show on Joe Rogan. Apparently she was on Rogan's show, and he said it was fascinating to hear. And he said the show, I don't know, I don't listen a lot to Rogan, but his shows go as long as he wants, basically.
Right. Yeah, sometimes 2 hours or more, yeah.
He said he talked to her for more than 2 hours, Rogan did. And he said it was just fascinating. And my kid didn't know a book existed or who the person was, except for that Rogan show. So, and he said it was great. I would like to listen to it, actually.
It's really funny about Rogan. He's another one that gets dragged under the drags over the coals from both sides for whatever he's done. Yeah. But I think he's one of our better interviewers. Mm-hmm. He's really good. He really asks interesting questions, and he really gets a lot out of them. You know, and people like to say how great Howard Stern is. I think Rogan's way better than Stern as far as interviewing people.
I haven't really listened to Joe Rogan a lot. I just hear I just see the headlines about this is a dumb thing he said. Yeah. But I'm not going to always just believe that, because I say dumb things on the radio all the time. And so I'm not going to not, I just haven't made room in my life to check it out, but I don't want to judge just based on some of the headlines. You know what I mean?
It's funny because no matter how they quote him, there's always more that they're leaving out.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody.
But a great place to start with Rogan is just find a guest that you're interested in.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I got sucked in. And, and I don't, I don't partake of him every day or every week. It's just like if I see a guest that I'm interested in, I'll talk to him. Like Eric Weinstein, excuse me. The mathematician, physicist. Boy, those are some interesting conversations.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just because you're checking something out or listening to it, that doesn't mean you're subscribing to the way the person thinks or feels. Right. Even if you hate the idea, like you see a headline, check it out to see what it's all about and then make your decision. But it doesn't, you can hate listen. You can, I hate watch shows. Like, why can't I hate listen?
Isn't that talk radio?
I can just go, okay, whatever. Like, I can just go, whatever. I don't like that statement, but just, I tend to not want to just make a huge judgment about somebody based on some headline I see.
I used to tell kids getting into radio that were working with me, I'd tell them, listen to Tom Bernard. And sometimes you'd get the reaction, well, I don't like what he said about this, or he's this, or he's that. And I go, no. Ignore the topic. Listen to how the show is done. Mm-hmm. Just because you've got to know how this works, and you've got to be able to listen to it without giving a rat's ass what they're talking about.
Yeah.
To Don's point, there about once a week I will listen to an Uber right and then one Uber left podcast, typically in the same sitting, just to keep, my head grounded on what both sides are saying. And then to back up just a little bit, Kenny, when you said a great place to start with Joe Rogan, my first thought was make everybody watch news radio.
Yeah, because that's where we saw him first. Yeah. That's his role.
I also love what
he was the janitor or something, wasn't he?
He was like an intern or
photographer, wasn't he?
No, they always called him the electrician. He was basically their engineer.
Okay. Oh, their engineer. Okay, yeah.
But every time I tell people about news radio, and basically unanimously, anytime somebody starts it, they realize right away how great of a show it is.
Oh, it's so
wonderful.
Good.
Yeah.
But every time it'll be, I had no idea Joe Rogan was an actor.
Oh, that's how I think of him first. I'm like, and he was a kid. Kid meaning like early 20s. Yeah. And so I just think of him as that kid from news radio.
Yeah, and a comedian.
Yeah.
Ross, you know all about me hate listening to a certain podcast. Is that podcast still on the air? Because I've cured myself of tuning in or looking for it. Is it still there, Ross?
Yeah, it's still there.
Okay.
Is it ours?
Anyway,
he cannot confirm nor deny.
You mean Crabby?
Yeah, Crabby Coffee Shop?
No, it's not us.
I wouldn't.
No, it's some hacks that should never be allowed anywhere near a microphone.
Okay.
Kenny, management was made aware of some concerns, by the way. So just a heads up there.
All right.
Okay. This is interesting. As long as the attention isn't on me, I love it. Like, please, what's going on?
John,
What's the hot goss?
I was playing my shadow management cards with that one.
No, so without speaking about the actual podcast, Kenny made me aware of it, and then he reminded me maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, and I gave it a listen, and I went, oh my gosh. Yeah, and we'll leave it at that.
Until the show's over, then I'm going to ask you who the hell you're talking about. Wow.
Is this a good spot?
I think so.
Yeah, because we've got some great stories we can talk about. So stay with us here.
Every kid deserves the opportunity to attend a ball game, visit a theater, or go to the zoo. At Tickets for Kids Charities, we make that possible for 40,000 local kids each year. Learn more and make a tax-deductible donation of cash or tickets at ticketsforkids.org today.
So, Dawn, I first learned how awesome flight attendants were firsthand. I had a red eye from Dallas to Miami, and I was lucky enough to be up front, and I was the only passenger up front.
Oh.
And there were about 10 in the back. And the flight attendants, 2 of them showed up with a couple of bottles of wine, and we partied all the way to Miami. And that's when I realized, okay, these people rock.
Sure.
Because not only did we have a good time, but they told me a lot of stories. And
they
this
did.
This was back before, well, this would be, Jesus, early 90s.
Oh, right. Okay.
Late 80s.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Before things got weird.
Yeah.
Before the terrorists ruined everything for us.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Well, I found this article from Explored Planet.
And I love it.
And at first, you see these clickbait articles where you're like, oh, it'll say like, oh, what flight attendants really think about being a flight attendant. And it's like, whatever. But this one was so long and it had so many good little chunks of information in it. I thought I'd bring it to the show here. One of them is they have zip ties on them and they do have the authority to restrain you.
Awesome.
And I'm like, good, and arrest you, like as a citizen's arrest until they get on the ground. I think that is a great thing, and I'd like to see it more often, You
got to know what it takes to get arrested. You know what I mean? If you're thinking, if I do this, will it get me arrested? The answer is probably yes. Just don't do it. Just sit there and shut up and be nice. And if you need to get drunk, but keep it to yourself, okay?
Yeah. Exactly. So in this article, it says that they have the authority to do this. And if you're overly aggressive or trouble causing, they also use the seatbelt extensions as restraints. And the passengers would be placed then in an area where they can't be disruptive and would be escorted off at the first stop. They can find, unless it's a overseas flight where they're over the ocean, within 15 minutes they can make a stop and get you in a jail.
So hogtie you, drag you to the galley, and let you squirm around there until they can land in BF, Iowa, and toss you out on the tarmac.
That's right.
I
Get back
envision
up in the
you
air.
down below with the cats and dogs and the other traveling cargo when you're in trouble.
Because we've seen so many videos lately of there was a guy screaming about that a baby was crying on the plane. He just lost it. And he was terrible. I was like, why are I mean, I know that like when someone's that heated and just screaming and stuff, like it's scary and you don't want the other passengers to get hurt. But I wish there was just a collective, like a knowledge that you can't get away with doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I don't care if your wrist is broken during the process or if you hurt your little finger and you want to sue the airline. It should just be like, in the air, we rule, and you behave. And if you don't, you're going to be put in airplane jail
and
on the plane.
A lot of this article is etiquette. How you stay out of their way. Like, don't go barefoot.
Oh, God. No. They say that it's disgusting. Like, that does not get cleaned. You don't get a shampooed carpet every time you enter a plane. People have, babies have puked. There's urine. There's blood. They say all of this. Any bodily liquid is on there, plus spilled, like, breast milk, so it's all funky. Like, it's filthy. It's filthy, filthy. Do not take off your shoes. And you're making it more filthy with your dirty, diseased feet.
Fungus.
Oh, God. Like, you see people doing that, and I always try to take a picture just so that I can put it on the internet. There are other things in here that, what did you guys find interesting?
What I love is when you walk on the plane, they've got their hands behind their back as they greet you, and they kind of do a head count. And what they're doing is they're profiling.
They're sizing you up. Yeah, they are. Yeah. They're profiling you. Yeah. To see if you're going to be unruly or a problem.
Right. And I wonder how many times they're correct. I bet you the old veterans that have been at it for 10 years or more, I bet they're pretty good. They know their clientele. And then they talk to each other, and I love this, with a secret code.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah.
They communicate without communicating.
It's true. They use those. You know, you hear like the dings and the beeps in the airplane.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, it's really usually like the seatbelt light is on or off. But actually, you'll look up and you're like, oh, it didn't change. I wonder why. That's because they're using those as signals to each other.
Right.
And I am all about that. That reminds me of working in retail where we had codes on the walkie-talkie that somebody was shoplifting.
Right.
Yeah, and all kinds of different things.
Do you and Bradley have a code that you can get to, Jesus, why am I forgetting your producer's name?
Mike.
Mike, thank you. Where you can get to Mike, where it means come in here and save us. The reason I ask, because John used to have a desk right outside of the control room in AM, and we all kind of had this rule that if you saw one of us or John being cornered by somebody really irritating.
Oh, you mean just off the air?
Yeah. One of us would either open the door from the control room, or I'd walk by and say, Johnny, I really need your help in here. Can you help me figure this out? And you'd grab him by the collar and take him out of there and save him. Yeah.
The best was I would sit there and you know who, there's a couple of people that would corner me, and Rook from the control room would call me.
Yeah.
John News.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just calling to see if I can get rid of the guy who's bothering you. You know,
oh my God, totally.
Like that.
I think a lot of people in offices do that. Yeah, for sure. I would like to, my partner Bradley, when we're on the air and I am trying to whisper something to him, he will just go, what are you whispering to me? Like, I'm like, dude.
That's
like, I'm like he was talking about just simply the other day. He was so distracted by, he couldn't think of anything but the pigs on the highway.
Yeah.
Okay, so the pig, there's a pig
truck. You guys
truck.
should have had me on. I broke the story. I was the first in the metro to talk about it.
Oh my God, Kenny. Well, so
I've got all sorts of video.
I hadn't heard anything about it.
Yeah.
So he starts talking about pigs on the freeway on the air, and I'm like, I just whisper because I didn't want to sound like an idiot because I didn't look at any news. Sure. Sometimes I don't. I look at celebrity gossip news and no local news before I go in to do my show.
Nothing
that's about
wrong with
celebrity
that.
gossip.
Right.
So
Don't defend
I'm
yourself.
like, I don't.
You're right.
But hey, nobody got time for that, you know. So he's talking about pigs, and so I whispered to him, here in the Twin Cities. That's what I said. I was like, here? And I pointed down like here. Because I wanted to know, no. I'm like, here, not at my crotch.
Right. Okay.
But I was like, here? And he says on the air, he goes, what? What are you whispering to me? What are you? And I'm like, okay, I just wanted to know if it was here or in New York or something. Because I didn't want to sound like a dork. But yeah, he'll do that. He'll just go, what are you saying to me? And I'm like, dude.
You know what
Kenny
you need?
and I will, on a different show we're on Garage Logic, we have sometimes little signals the other guys, they just don't notice, like if Joe is saying something, you know, that we think is ridiculous. Or if Reavers is annoying one of us to no end.
Yeah.
We have little signals, but I'm guessing the stewardesses are a little more subtle than Kenny and I.
Oh, that's what we're talking about, stewardesses.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you guys need a talk back in the studio so you can turn your microphone off and hit the talk back to Brad and go, where did this happen?
Yeah, well, we do. We're in the same studio.
Yeah.
So I would just turn off my mic.
Both of your mics. Just give them the slashing at the throat.
Yeah, we need to come up with something. Yeah.
When we were in radio and Such was sequestered in the studio, either me or Rookie would whisper things in his ear. We had the capability. It's called talkback.
Yeah. Just in your headphones.
Half the times, Joe would do exactly what Bradley did. What? Yeah, I plan on doing that. So what I learned...
Good Lord.
I know, it's really bad. It's like his first day on the job, and he'd been at it for 30 years. So finally, what I did when I wanted to start talking to him, I'd go, Joe, I'm off the air right now. turn to channel 4, or, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then he would say, okay.
Like, okay. On his live mic. Yeah. Oh, no.
Anyway.
On the pigs, very quickly, Kenny. Kendall from Channel 9. I hate to go outside the building, but I was flipping through the TV at the exact same time this pig news was breaking.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see her delivery of this story, Kenny?
Yeah, of course I did. Not only that, way to be completely unaware as to what's going on at the very radio station you work on. Kendall and I talk to each other almost every morning. We're buddies.
I know.
She came on Jason's show at the same time I was on Jason's show, and we all talked about this together. Yeah. So don't try to badmouth Kendall.
No.
Kendall is one of the best.
No.
She's a good friend of mine, so don't even go down
I don't think he is, but go on.
I'm actually, her delivery of this story, Kenny, was one of the most endearing and loving things I have ever seen, because for those who didn't see her delivering this story, she is months pregnant, right, Kenny? At this point, she's well into her pregnancy.
Yeah.
On the day of this story, she is wearing a very pink dress,
right,
which is outlined with like just some black, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she is delivering the story, talking about there's pigs loose on the freeway. And to a degree, I'm going to paraphrase what she says because I don't remember the quote exactly. But she goes, and yes, it's not lost on me that I'm incredibly pregnant and wearing pink today.
Oh, God.
And she goes, you can't write this stuff. It writes itself. It was
great.
What you've done here reminds me of what used to happen to me all the time when I worked all these morning shows, and I would get home and talk to a friend or somebody, and the friend would say, tell me all about what he heard on KDWB that morning or KQRS. And it's just really, really. So thanks for not listening to
you stop it. You know I'm your number one fan. You quit crying foul.
Yeah, come on. Quit making up victim stories over there, Kenny.
How do you score an upgrade with a flight attendant?
Well, you can tip them because they accept tips. I learned from this article.
Yes.
You can be super nice and polite.
Yes.
But not creepy.
Right.
Right. You can do that. They can accept tips. And I thought, I did not know that. Like, not $1, you guys. Like, get out a 10 or a 20, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, nothing below a 20.
No.
It's got to be significant. What I learned over the years, and a lot of people probably already knew this, I've been flying non-rev my whole life because of family in the industry. Mm-hmm. And I still, if I need to get on an airplane, all I do is pay the taxes. And you learn something about being a non-rev passenger that can transform or you can use in your paying life. Dress nice.
Mm-hmm.
They always told us dress nice because you might be able to get bumped up to first class, and they don't want anybody with cutoffs and sweatpants and slippers in first class.
Yeah.
And always talk quietly about your ticket and your service and who you are and the fact that you're a non-rev. And if you get bumped, be really nice about it. Don't complain, don't yell, don't scream, don't make demands when you're on the airplane. And the flight attendants know where the non-revs are sitting.
Yeah.
So one time I flew non-rev out to Hawaii, and we were next to the galley, and the guy knew we were non-rev. We drank for free from, I think, San Francisco all the way to Hawaii, just because we were really friendly and nice and non-rev. And there's no reason that can't happen if you're a paying customer. Stop making the ludicrous demands. Stop showing up smelling like farts. Don't take your shoes off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I think that back in the day, you used to, it was known, we're going on a flight and we're dressing up. It was an event.
Right.
Where it's you have to wear your church dress because we're going on the plane.
I was going to bring that up. Church clothes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's true. Yeah.
They'll, just like your friendly bartender, they'll cut you off.
Yeah.
So try to keep it together if you're going to get ass-faced. I understand flying drunk. It's nerve-wracking flying. Just keep it together, okay?
Yeah, right.
You're not Hunter S. Thompson. Don't go crazy.
Oh, my God. Yes, that's so good. Don't take every drug under the sun. They also appreciate it if you don't order a Diet Coke.
Which I had never heard this before.
Yeah, so if you're at 30,000 feet, for some reason, the formula of Diet Coke is extra fizzy up in the air, and it takes forever, ever to settle down. Like when they pour it in the cup, it takes 3 times as long for them to deliver the drink to you because they have to keep doing a little.
Yeah.
And then a little more. It's just extra carbonated for some reason.
Right.
And so just don't do it. I don't know. Have some water. Have a lemonade. Have a ginger ale, for God's sake.
I'm just thinking of our pal Patrick Royce, who's been heavily addicted to Diet Coke since he quit drinking in the early 80s, and he's drinking a 6-pack or more. And when he's getting on that plane, he's pounding the Diet Coke.
Why doesn't he just buy one in the
That's
the
what
airport?
I was going to ask. Can you do that?
You're going to get, yes. Once you get through the security gate, you can buy, like they say, bring an empty water bottle. You can just fill it up at the fountain there, and then you don't have to bug them for liquid.
Oh.
You can bring, once you're through the gate.
Once you're through the gate, that's why they have all the shops with candy and all the food that you buy. You can bring your Chick-fil-A on, your Subway, whatever it is.
How about airplane coffee?
They say don't drink it because, like, literally in this article, they're like, do not drink that coffee. Don't ask for coffee because those pots are rarely cleaned, and it could be funky.
Toilet water.
Yeah, basically it has the same,
water.
It has the same, like, it's kind of next to the toilet.
Well, then I don't want to get the tea either. So now I'm back to, I'm just going to make you work for the fizzy Diet Coke, and I'll tip you.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure they appreciate it.
How come they get to use their cell phone and we don't?
Oh, right. That's another thing. Like, they are using their cell phone the whole time. They probably turn it off during takeoff and landing because they say that's whenever, in this article, like, that's whenever it can actually mess with air traffic control because cell signals are so intense. But, yeah, they have their own ability to get on their own cell phones.
I was once on a flight within the last 5 years where one of the flight attendants, I think this was pre-flight maybe when we were boarding, was on their phone and verbally assaulting their significant other. And I'm like, well, this is not setting up to be a comfortable flight.
You just don't want to mess with them, do you? Oh, boy.
Do you eat the food?
Yeah, but I probably won't after this.
Yeah.
Because it says that it's so not nutritionally. They want you to feel full, so it's full of salt, sugar, and fats. And, like, it's just not good for you.
Stuff that makes you sleepy.
Yeah, definitely. They want you to be drugged, basically.
Yeah, give me the Benadryl chicken, please.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
John, do you think you'll ever get on an airplane again?
At this point, if you ask me, I'd say no. But it may happen. There may be an emergency where I have to, and maybe I'll get drugged up to the point where I won't know I'm in a little tube that's very claustrophobic.
I'm very pleased with not flying at this point. Very pleased. And to be honest with you, the thought of flying overseas, over the ocean, I'm having a tough go with that. And I see that I think it's Delta now is going to start a new nonstop from Minneapolis, St. Paul to Honolulu.
Oh.
And I'm thinking the only way to do it is to take some sort of heavy narcotic. I mean, maybe even shoot up right before you get on the plane.
Shoot up.
And then just nod off and not wake up till you get there, because it'd just be too traumatizing for me flying over the open ocean again, because you know what's out in the open ocean?
Water.
Great white sharks.
Yeah.
Oh, the crash will kill you before the shark does. Come on.
Sure. Did you know that the oxygen in those masks only lasts like 12 to 15 minutes?
I did know that, yeah.
It said that in this article here. I'm
Dang.
like, so just try to breathe on your own for as long as you can. Don't get too excited. Just do deep breaths.
So is each one regulated? Like, so would that work if I don't use the oxygen mask? Does that mean in 10 minutes from now I'll still have my 15 minutes worth?
Yeah.
Or is it all coming from the same pool of oxygen?
No, I think that they're all individual. Yeah. Like one person can't suck down all the oxygen and like, ooh, he's really breathing deep over there. The big oxygen tank we have.
That's
that
what
can
I was
explode
thinking.
and be flammable.
Yeah, maybe the young and the elderly shouldn't be given masks. Maybe their masks shouldn't drop at all. they should leave it for people between, I don't know, 15 and 60.
Uh-oh.
Some mass discrimination.
Oh, boy.
I'm screwed then.
Yeah.
Kenny, I think you're going to fit in just fine in my gubernatorial administration. Where
No, Ross, that's North Korea, like there. That's what that is.
I would,
not
since you sort of told the people that I'm really kind of afraid to fly. I've always loved flying, but after I had a surgical procedure, I became very claustrophobic.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't mean to infer that you were afraid to fly. It's your claustrophobia.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I used to love to fly. I mean, I would hop on a plane at a moment's notice, but now,
same here.
Getting in a tube, no thanks.
John, I used to go on vacation with the roommate before we became legal, and I would bring blank tickets with me. And I mean driving trips, just in case I needed to, because at that point we were breaking up like once a week, you know how it is.
You had an escape plan.
Yeah.
What? I don't even get it.
There was one night in Cincinnati about 2 a.m. that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the GD airport and be done with this.
Oh.
Leave her in my car and everything there.
Oh, boy.
is the blank ticket, Kenny, for the ones that are confused?
Yeah,
mainly
I don't get
Dawn
that.
and I, is that your non-rev flights to basically get in and out of town?
I see.
Yeah, you used to be handed these vouchers and you could write in the destinations. Yeah. So it was really cool. It'd just be an open ticket and you just write whatever airport you want to go to and away you go.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. That is fantastic. Have you told her that?
I think she might know, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, Kenny, we have her on the line right now.
I told her the other night, she told me how old she was, and I said, well, I think it's time for me to find a trophy wife. And she said, yeah, good luck, pal.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, so...
we'll do a lottery at the fair.
No, I would rather be single.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just give me a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
I do.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yeah. You know, when they hauled that out in the back of a flatbed truck, it was so small.
Yeah.
His cabin in the woods. Yeah, and he just passed over the weekend,
He sure
right?
did.
Good. Yep.
Yeah. Don, have you ever tried to read the manifesto?
Just parts of it.
Hey, you can't get through it. You can't get past the third paragraph. It's so boring.
It's so boring, and didn't he go to Harvard? Like the dude was super smart.
Yeah,
There's another podcast called Killer Psyche, and it's about an FBI. It's done by an FBI agent, and she was there when they arrested him. It was like one of her first assignments. So she sat with him for hours
Wait,
and
tell
talked
me
to
again.
him.
I gotta write it down.
Killer Psyche.
Oh, cool.
Yep, and just find the Ted Kaczynski one. You might have to go back to the beginning. But she, learned how to be a profiler and gives you kind of tips and tricks. And also defines what a psychopath is and what a sociopath is, like the difference and, what is a mental illness and the difference between a disorder. And it's just very interesting.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
We could use that knowledge on our friends on GL, the people we work with, John.
Yeah.
To determine what they are?
Yeah, figure out how to go on.
Yeah.
Are we done here?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we're done.
I was fascinated or hoping to learn more about the great whites that apparently want to eat everybody, but maybe we can say
we'll
that
talk
for a
about that
different
next
time.
time.
We left a lot of stuff on the table. My list includes Mel's Hole. Don't ask. North Sentinel Island, great white sharks, kids in a plane crash.
Yeah, the kids in the plane crash was really.
And we
really
always have the story that's still here. You can't.
What? I'm looking behind me.
Let me move it. There it is, right there.
That's
the
a calendar.
The story about Nip, the famous life-saving dog.
Nip, yeah.
Nip.
Yeah,
I think
that'll be for the last podcast.
Yeah.
I think we can avoid Nip as long as possible.
Oh, yeah, bring the music up, and it sounds like we have a special guest next week, right?
Yeah, auctioneer.
We're going to learn how to be auctioneers next week.
Thanks for listening to News from the Crabby Coffee Shop. New episodes drop every week wherever you get your podcasts.